Good evening and welcome, everyone. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Delaware, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tiffany Lydon, and I am president of the League of Women Voters of Delaware. We are pleased to provide this opportunity for voters to hear directly from the candidates in the Democratic primary race for Delaware State Treasurer. LWVDE is a 501c3 organization. We are nonpartisan. We do not endorse candidates or support or oppose any political party. The questions being asked this evening were submitted by members of the public and will be presented by our moderators. This forum is being recorded, and the complete, unedited video will be available on the League of Women Voters of Delaware website, which is lwvdelaware.org. To protect the integrity of this forum and all participating candidates, no campaign may use clips from this recording for promotional purposes. Additionally, no other audio or video recording of the candidates is permitted, with the exception of credentialed media, as allowed by the sponsoring organizations. It is now my pleasure to turn the program over to our partner organization, the Delaware Statewide Social Action Committee of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Please welcome Dr. Melody Phillips, Delaware State Social Action Coordinator.
Thank you so much, Tiffany, and welcome everyone. On behalf of the Delaware Statewide Social Action Committee of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, thank you for joining us this evening. The League of Women Voters of Delaware and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated are both proud, nonpartisan organizations committed to voter education and civic engagement. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is a 501c7 organization. We do not endorse candidates or support or oppose any political party. Together, our shared goal is to provide opportunities for voters to hear directly from candidates so they can make informed decisions at the ballot box. Forums like this are an important part of civic engagement because they provide voters with the information they need to participate thoughtfully in our democracy. This evening's forum will follow a structured format. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, with the speaking order determined by a random drawing earlier this evening. Following the opening statements, each candidate will have the opportunity to respond to every question with 90 seconds allotted for each response. At the conclusion of the forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes to deliver a closing statement. Time will be monitored through Zoom with the remaining time displayed on screen. We respectfully ask all candidates to adhere to the established time limits to ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to participate. Next slide, please.
All content shared, displayed, or otherwise presented during this meeting, including but not limited to sorority manuals, ceremonial rituals, and other materials that contain Delta's trademarks, copyrights, or any other intellectual property is owned and controlled by Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and is protected by law. Participants shall not photograph, video record, screen capture, or otherwise copy Delta materials to modify or reproduce for personal or third-party use. Participant further understands, agrees, and acknowledges to be solely liable for any damages in law or inequity resulting from violation of applicable laws and shall be subject to disciplinary action according to the Member Code of Conduct and any other related agreement.
Welcome to our Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated community event. We are delighted you chose to be with us today. Please be assured your safety is our utmost concern. Please take a moment to identify 2 exits in your current location. Knowing where the exits are is essential for an efficient emergency evacuation. Additionally, during this post-COVID-19 pandemic period, please continue to adhere to the public health guidelines of your local community. Please have a wonderful experience, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Now this is an overview of the forum. As you already know, we heard opening remarks in our legal notices from Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We will also have purpose of the Treasurer Candidate Forum, We will go through the treasurer position description. There will be an introduction of moderators, a treasurer candidate introduction, moderator and candidate questions, treasurer candidate closing remarks, final closing remarks from both the League of Women Voters Delaware and Delaware Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Social Action Committee. And then finally, you will have some information at the end with candidate contact information and other educational information on how you find out the purpose and civic engagement around voting. Next slide. And go to the next one. So Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated has national social action priorities. I would like to take this time to first thank our National Social Action Commission for making sure that we have these priorities. They are voting and civic engagement, economic justice, education, environmental justice, health equity, reimagining public safety, and reproductive freedom. I would also like to make sure that we thank our State of Delaware coordinator, Charlotte Barnes, who is always involved in our social action activities, as well as the entire Delaware statewide social action committee, which is made up of the chairs of the respective committees of the Dover Alumni Chapter, the Sussex Alumni Chapter, the Middletown Alumni Chapter, the Wilmington, Delaware Alumni Chapter, the Epsilon Alpha Chapter, as well as Mu Pi. Those are the chapters in the state of Delaware for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and we are all actively engaged in social action. So I would like to thank those committee members for being present, for actively engaging this evening, as well as getting the word out about the candidate forum tonight. Next slide. Tiffany, I'm turning it back to you.
The purpose of the Treasurer Candidate Forum is to educate voters about the responsibilities of the Delaware State Treasurer and the impact the office has on the state's financial well-being. It is to provide a nonpartisan platform for candidates to share their qualifications, priorities, and vision directly with Delaware voters. It is to promote informed voting by giving voters an opportunity to compare candidates' positions on key fiscal and financial issues. It is to encourage civic engagement by increasing awareness of statewide elections and the importance of participating in the democratic process. It is to support transparency and accountability by allowing candidates to respond to the same questions in an open, fair, and structured forum. Next slide, please. I'll turn it back over to you, Dr. Phillips.
Thank you. The Delaware State Treasurer position description. The Delaware State Treasurer serves as the state's chief financial officer and is responsible for safeguarding and managing Delaware's financial assets. While the treasurer does not create the state budget, the office ensures state funds are managed responsibly and invested prudently on behalf of Delaware taxpayers. What does the Delaware State Treasurer do? They protect and manage Delaware's financial assets, oversees state investments and cash management, helps manage state debt and bond financing, administers college savings and financial empowerment programs, serves on boards that oversee state pensions and investments, and they promote responsible stewardship of tax dollars. Next slide. I'll turn it back to you, Tiffany. Oh, no, I think this is still me. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce our lovely moderators this evening. These two phenomenal women are doing social action, not only throughout the state of Delaware, but also in their respective service areas. I would like to introduce Debbie Smith. She is the Social Action Chair for the Dover Alumni Chapter, as well as Daphnée Theodore, the Social Action Chair for the Middletown Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Daphnée, Debbie, I turn it over to you.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And as Dr. Phillips says, social action is in our DNA as Deltas. So we're excited to lead this conversation. So we're going to begin with Mr. Miller. This is from Vote 411. What are your qualifications for office, and what differentiates you from the other candidates?
Are we having a 2-minute opening spots first?
You are correct. Actually, go ahead. You are absolutely correct, Mr. Miller.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Mike Miller. I hail from Sussex County, born and raised here in Lewis, Delaware. I went to school at Cape and Lopin High School, graduated from there, and went to Delaware State University and graduated with my bachelor's degree. I'm a proud business owner. I've been in business for more than 33 years in the state of Delaware. I own and operate 2 successful businesses. I've never missed a payroll, and I'll never miss a payroll for the state of Delaware employees or their pensions. I want to say that I'm a lifelong Democrat. Ever since I could vote, I was a Democrat. I didn't just join the Democratic Party recently. I've been one all my entire life. And so I think that's important when we look at who we want to support. I also want to say that this is a pivotal point with the state treasurer's race. We have to elect someone who has the experience, someone who's been doing this for their entire life. For 33 years, I've been filing taxes and helping Delaware and small businesses for their future. I have real world financial experience. And contrary to what you might hear tonight, the state treasurer cannot just come in and decide that they want to invest. It's a cash management policy board and a plans management board that decides how the money gets spent. We set policies and procedures. And I look forward to taking your questions tonight. I look forward to anything that y'all might want to add. I'm excited to be in this race.
Thank you very much. And it will be followed by Mr. Smith.
Good evening. Can you all see me?
We can see you and hear you.
Great.
And the timer.
Fantastic. I'm Michael Alexander Smith. And yes, I know this race has a Mike Miller, a Mike Ramone, and me. And as I'm sure many of you know, there's even a Republican Michael Smith in Delaware politics. Just to clarify, I am not him. So let me try to make this easy. I'm the Democrat, Michael Smith, lifelong Democrat. And I'm the only professional economist in this race. And I believe that second part matters because, frankly, let us look at this moment that we are in. Washington is currently run by people actively working to destabilize states like ours, threatening our federal funding, attacking the programs that families use to save for college and for retirement, and injecting chaos into markets where Delaware's money is invested. And that is our money, money for our students, for our workers, for our retirees, money that keeps this state running. The treasurer stands between that chaos and your family's financial security. I earned my master's degree in public policy economics, and I've worked at some of the nation's top economic research organizations, figuring out how we make this economy work for working families. I also founded a nonprofit that helped Delawareans cut their energy bills. And inside the Delaware House Democratic Caucus, I learned how our government actually works and where it doesn't. This experience is why I've earned support from every corner of our state, and especially from those who are the most intertwined with the state treasurer's role. I'm the only candidate in this race endorsed by the co-chair of a joint finance committee. I'm the only candidate endorsed by a co-chair of the bond bill committee. I'm the only candidate endorsed by a member of the state employees benefit committee. And I'm the only candidate in this race endorsed by a labor union, and not just any union, Delaware's largest, the Delaware State Education Association. Delaware doesn't need a caretaker as its treasurer. It needs an economist who's ready to fight back against the Trump administration's attacks and Wall Street's recklessness. I'm the Democrat, Michael Smith, and on September 15th, I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lauzen.
Good evening. My name is Ted Lauzen. I'm running for state treasurer, and I'm excited to earn your support. First, I'd just like to thank the moderators, the League of Women Voters, and the Deltas for the incredible and impactful work that you do for our community, our state, and our country. Just as a little bit of background on me, I was lucky enough to marry a wonderful woman from Milford named Sarah. And then after our wedding, Sarah was kind enough to follow me like a million different moves as I flew light attack helicopters in combat for the Marines, worked in the Office of Legislative Affairs on Capitol Hill, competed in the World Championships for Team USA, and earned my MBA and JD from Penn. But after all of those moves, Sarah and I chose to raise our 4 young kids, Caroline, Jack, Emily, and William, who goes by Pork Chop, here in Delaware, and to start an investment management firm. As an investment manager, the treasurer of the Delaware YMCA, so all of the different YMCAs up and down the state, and a financial literacy lead, I frequently have the opportunity to sit down with families across the state and work through financial challenges. Not talking about the theory of things, but talking about the real implications on our fellow neighbors' lives. These days, for each and every family, things are scary, things are tight, and things are uncertain. During times like this, our families need more than campaign promises. They need more than fancy degrees. We need real, proven, and practical experience. We need someone who can actually manage $8 billion in a portfolio, who can actually lead financial literacy programs and support programs, and who can represent us on statewide boards. Those are the 3 responsibilities of the treasurer, and I do each of those on a daily basis. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we can start with the questions from Vote 411. And we will start with Mr. Smith, because you're number 2 in the deck. Okay, so Mike Miller, you're 1, Smith, you're 2, and Lauzen, you're 3. All right. What are your qualifications for office, and what differentiates you from the other candidates?
Yeah, my qualifications for the office are threefold. First and foremost, I have my master's degree in public policy economics. And since I got that degree, I have worked at some of the nation's leading economic and financial research organizations, including the Progressive Policy Institute, Secretariat Economists, and Cornerstone Research, which, fun fact, Cornerstone Research was just rated, I believe maybe 2 or 3 months ago, as the 2nd highest ranked economic research organization in the world by Vault. I had the opportunity to work with some of the nation's leading academics, whether it be professors at universities, PhD economists, and industry experts. And I had the opportunity to see how we can really analyze the data, the quotidian life of the financial operations of our country, and how we can make this American economy work for working families. I also have experience working down in Dover. I worked in the Delaware House Democratic Caucus. I got to see firsthand how important it is to have elected officials who understand the details, who know how to get things done, and who genuinely care about the public that they're serving. As I mentioned a moment ago, I've been proudly supported by Representative Kim Williams and Senator Jack Walsh, as well as my old boss, Dr. Representative Stephanie T. Bolden, and several organizations, including DSEA and the Delaware College Democrats, Newark Mayor Travis McDermott, and Representative Paul Bombach, who's on the State Employees Benefit Committee. These are positions that I think are really relevant to the role of treasurer, and I also have a little bit of experience outside of politics, and I'll talk about that in the future.
Thank you very much. The same question for you, Mr. Lauzen. Let me know if you want me to repeat it.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think it comes down to the practical and real experience to deliver on our promises. First of all, I manage on a day-to-day basis hundreds of millions of dollars for families throughout Delaware. I can help manage the $8 billion portfolio of all of our shared money. I serve as the treasurer of the Delaware YMCA and a member of the Delaware Prosperity Partnership, and recently created and implemented a statewide literacy program for all 1,600 part-time and full-time employees at the Y. I can do that in the treasurer's office. And then finally, I run and lead statewide boards, as only I have done in this race across the board. And I am proud to be the member and the candidate who is endorsed by the Democratic Party, who is endorsed by the state auditor, Lydia York, and several senators and representatives across the state. I am excited to work hard on the real life problems facing each of us and each of our families across the state. Thank you.
Okay, great. The same question to you, Mr. Miller.
Yes, this race is about ideas and vision for state treasurers. While I applaud Mr. Lauzen on being an investor and Mr. Smith on being an economist, I just want to say this is about real world financial experience. I have over 350 clients that I've been dealing with for the last 33 years. So I have those real world experiences. I know what working families are dealing with when it comes to money, when it comes to their incomes, when it comes to investing. And that's why I'm the best candidate to do this job. I graduated from Delaware State University. I've sat on boards. I don't go around saying that I've been on this board or that board, but yes, I've been on the Boys and Girls Club board. I'm on the Delaware State University committees. I've done a lot of different things, but what we're talking about is real world financial experience. And I have those experiences. And listen, some people may have been endorsed, but I've been endorsed by the one person that's actually done this job, which is Velda Jones Potter. And she endorses me to be able to be the next state treasurer. She's done this job. She's led this state as the treasurer, and she has endorsed me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to move to question number 2. That brings Mr. Lauzen as the first one for this question. In fulfilling the state office for which you are running, what do you believe are the priorities of the office, and how can the office best serve the people of Delaware? Mr. Lauzen. You're muted.
Well, thank you very much, Daphnée. The true priorities of the Treasurer's Office is to invest our hard-earned funds well and to take great care of neighbors across our state. As treasurer, I will protect our AAA credit bond rating. I will invest our $8 billion portfolio well. I will modernize our debt policy, and I will increase transparency of where and with whom we are invested. I'm also excited to expand our financial literacy effort to all communities, to improve our Morningstar rating of our Delaware 529, and to proactively help qualifying families take care of their members with disabilities through the ABLE plan. As a fiduciary advisor, I get the chance to see on a day-to-day basis how important both the thoughtful investments and the empathetic care that we demonstrate for our neighbors can be over time. I'm excited to work closely with each one of you to deliver for our friends and our neighbors across the state.
Thank you very much. The same question to you, Mr. Miller.
Could you repeat that question, please?
The question is, in fulfilling the state office for which you are running, what do you believe are the priorities of the office, and how can the office best serve the people of Delaware?
Yes, definitely. It's making sure we safeguard the state's money. I would have to work along with 9-member cash management policy board. I can't just come in and decide I'm going to invest money, but I have to work along with that board. And so I want to protect and safeguard the state's money. I also want to keep that AAA bond rating, but I want to make sure that the state of Delaware employees never miss a payroll. I want to, though I'm running for state treasurer, I believe that this position is very vital in with financial literacy for our students. Financial literacy is very important. What I would like to do is see a mandatory 1-credit course taught from the elementary school all the way to the high school. Not just where they're learning about finance, they're learning about investing, they're learning about stocks, they're learning about bonds, they're learning about opening up a checking and savings account. This is very important and is vitally needed in our communities and with our students. This also will help change the wealth gap, because if you learn it now at an early age, when you get to an older age in the high school, you might be able to go home and teach some of this to your parents who have a need for financial literacy. I want to increase the modernize the Delaware Earns program so people can save, not just save, but save to retire. And so many of our people are not being able to save to retire. They're just living from paycheck to paycheck. And I want to be known for that person that makes a difference.
Thank you. And I'll read the question for you, Mr. Smith. In fulfilling the state office for which you are running, what do you believe are the priorities of the office, and how can the office best serve the people of Delaware?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important that the next treasurer comes in with a vision, an imagination of how we can make the office of the state treasurer work for every family in Delaware. We have so many people who I'm knocking on their doors, I'm calling them, I'm texting them, and I'm hearing about the struggles they're going through, the inability to pay bills, the inability to, deal with skyrocketing property taxes or Delmarva or, enter utility service provider here, the bills that people have stacking up on their kitchen tables. And I think it's incredibly important the treasurer is going out there into the community, talking to people about the great programs the treasurer's office currently has, while also having a vision for what the treasurer's office could be. So yes, that of course means working to expand Delaware Earns, which Mike Miller brought up a moment ago, right? It's a fantastic program. I hope we can talk about it more later. That'll be my number one priority as treasurers, trying to expand the access for people who don't have access to a traditional employer-sponsored retirement plan. Going through a state-sponsored Roth IRA is a really fantastic option. We also, of course, as Ted mentioned, Delaware's 529 college savings plan. These are incredibly important assets for our everyday workers and families. But we also need to make sure that we are taking proactive steps to right wrongs of the past, that we have been promising our state employees for 18, now going on 19 years, that we would bring back their match on their retirement savings contributions. And additionally, with all due respect to Mike Miller, I do not believe that we are going to get out of the racial and financial wealth gap. We need baby bump.
So thank you so much. So we will turn to our next questions that came from participants. So the first question is, what is your position regarding investing stat funds and cryptocurrency? Mr. Miller, I will take that question to you first.
What is my position on cryptocurrency?
Yes, regarding investing stat funds and cryptocurrency.
I don't believe that it should have anything to do with any of our pensions or investing. It's real when it comes to crypto if you want to invest in it, but I don't believe that it needs to be invested with the state's finances into any of our plans. I need to see real hard dollars, real hard facts, paper that says what we're investing in, and proven track records. Cryptocurrency and those programs, I don't believe in at all. State.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Excuse me. I'll now turn it over to Mr. Smith to answer the same question, please.
Yes, I could not agree with Mike Miller more. I think it's would be very irresponsible to have any of our state cash portfolio be invested in cryptocurrency, let alone, as Mike mentioned, pensions or other forms of state assets. I specifically have been very disheartened to see what the Trump administration's Department of Labor is trying to do, which is to back end cryptocurrency, private equity, private credit, very volatile, sometimes very non-transparent assets into people's retirement plans. And as treasurer, I would commit that we will not be investing any of our cash portfolio into cryptocurrency. Obviously, that is something that needs to be decided by the Cash Management Policy Board. But given the regulations that are in place, it would be very outside of the realm possibility to put cryptocurrency into any of our three main buckets. We have a liquidity account, a reserve account, and an endowment account. And most of that money is in those first two. It sounds a little boring, but these are very safe asset portfolios, right? We're talking about treasury bills. We're talking about AAA rated corporate bonds, right? These are not even stocks, right? There's a little bit of equity that is in the endowment account, but the endowment account is very small relative to the liquidity and reserve accounts. Across all three of those accounts that the treasurer helps oversees and manage, none of them should be invested in crypto. And we should not be following Donald Trump and his Department of Labor's scheme to try to get crypto into everyone's retirement plan or into state portfolios.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Lauzen, you're up next.
Well, thank you very much. The job of investing $8 billion, each dollar of which is a dollar that a family, a neighbor, a friend, a sister, a brother, a mom and dad has given to the state for the safekeeping. It is essential that we thoughtfully allocate our funds using nerdy math, often called mean variance optimization, to ensure that the money that has been put into the system for future benefits are there for our retirees, are there for our families, are there for our workers. Our investments are conservative and intentionally conservative because we must deliver on the promises that we've made to folks across the board. As the candidate endorsed by the Democratic Party, as a fiduciary investment advisor on the day-to-day basis, as an investment manager for hundreds of families across Delaware. Those choices matter, and it matters that we never invest funds at the state level into cryptocurrency and that we protect the hard-earned assets across the board. Delaware can lead the next generation of technology in lots of incredible and exciting ways, but not in that portfolio.
Thank you all so much for those responses. Our next question that also comes from our participants are you in favor of Bitcoin as an investment tool for the state? Do you think non-disclosure agreements are appropriate? Mr. Miller, I'll turn that back over to you.
Oh, it comes back to me again. Okay. No, I don't believe that Bitcoin should be any part, just like cryptocurrency shouldn't have any part in what we're doing. I mean, it's the same concept. I just think that we need to work with the policies that we have in hand. I think we really need to also diversify where some of our funds are going. I mean, we've been using some of the same ones within our state. I would like to see us possibly diversify a little bit with some of our funds if they're qualified person from the state of Delaware with a portfolio. Maybe 5 or 10% of the portfolios could go to a more diverse, a minority group of some sort, to let them be able to invest in our state. Right now, 25% goes to Fidelity, to JP Morgan, BlackRock, and there's one other one. And I'd like to see us maybe be a little more diversified where our money goes, but not crypto.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Mr. Smith, you're up next.
Yes, can you repeat the second part of the question, please?
No problem. Are you in favor of Bitcoin as an investment tool for the state? Second part of the question, do you think non-disclosure agreements are appropriate?
Okay. Yeah, so I'll reiterate what I think is the consensus among the three of us, that I do not believe the state should be investing in cryptocurrency, or specifically Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't foresee that being in any of the near or medium or long-term future for our state's cash portfolio, or really for any of our investment allocations here in the state of Delaware, regardless of what office that is under. I am trying to figure out exactly what non-disclosure agreements means in the context of this question. I do believe there are situations where the state of Delaware, through its operations, enters into NDAs with partners and clients, especially when it comes to, customer confidentiality, sensitive data, especially for taxpayers. That seems a little bit outside the purview of the NDA question, so I don't know exactly how to answer this particular point. If this question is asking about NDAs to cover corruption or abuse or harassment, no, I do not believe that any manager of an office, especially the state treasurer, which is representative to the people of Delaware, should be engaging in behavior that forces people to sign NDAs. I hope that answers the question, and we'd love to, answer a follow-up question later if it seems relevant.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. This was a question from a participant. So Mr. Lauzen, it's on you next. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. First, no, we should not be invested in Bitcoin. However, I think that this really points to the struggle that so many individuals and families have right now in their own lives. There is a lot of wild stuff out there to invest in and to consider. And as expenses and costs of everything increase, we look for opportunities to try to cover our bases and make our ends meet in each and every one of our families. So where I think the treasurer actually really helps in this context of things is in one-on-one financial literacy and one-on-one financial consulting through the Stand By Me program, through an expanded Stand By Me program delivered through our trusted communities and organizations across our state to each and every Delawarean. It's in those private, confidential, trusted types of conversations where folks can start to grapple with whether a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency makes sense in their own portfolio, or whether it makes more sense to build out a reserve, pay off credit card bills, save for the house payment, save for the car payment, and build toward their future. So I think we can, and in those conversations, if the NDA is around starting businesses and things, we can have those conversations in the one-on-one setting where people can be calm, confident, and ensure that they're getting good advice for the future.
Excellent. So now we move to another set of questions, and we start with you, Mr. Lauzen. What do you see as the top 3 fiscal challenges at the state level, and what are your plans to tackle them?
The top 3 fiscal challenges. One is the consistent and demonstration of our ability to maintain and utilize our very coveted AAA credit rating. We still have a debt policy that is based on a crummy credit rating from the 1970s. So we get an opportunity to protect our AAA credit rating while modernizing our debt policy in this for the state so that we can lower expenses when we borrow and do more good for Delawareans across the state. The second is that, frankly, 35 to 37% of our state revenue comes from an unpredictable source. That is a beautiful thing in the short term, but it's going to need to be able to take care of our families across the board for years and decades and generations to come. The state treasurer can be a credible voice in that statewide and national conversation about how Delaware can serve our community and protect and grow our revenue base. And then finally, I think it's access to our programs and access to programs like the ABLE plan, in which we have 600 accounts, yet we have 5,400 qualifying families alone in the public school system. We have lots of good work to take care of families who are caring for kids with disabilities.
Same question to you, Mr. Miller. Do you want me to repeat it?
Listen, no, there's more than 3 that we can talk about. One, the state only had a 1% increase when it came to monies that were coming in for our budget. We're going to be facing a deficit shortfall if we don't get that corrected. So we're outspending more than we're taking in. So we need to get that fixed. Also, some of the things that are challenging with the state is I want to see teachers get paid more than what they're doing for starting salaries. I believe the teachers should be starting at least $60,000, and that's going to be a shortfall. And so those are challenges. I'm going to be collaborating with the legislators to try to see how we can make that happen. It's bad. Now, also with Delaware Earns, we have nearly 10 or 11,000 people who participate in that program, where 180,000 could be a part of the program. And so I think we can do better. I want to make sure that it's accessible. There's no minimal contributions. I want people to be able to save. And so we need to do better from the state treasurer's office in getting those ideas and implementations out. But there's so many different ideas. The financial literacy thing, with all due respect, I do believe we can close the welfare gap with bringing everybody together with that.
Same question to you, Mr. Smith.
Let me clarify, the question is the top 3 challenges for the state of Delaware.
Yeah, I will read it again. What do you see as the top 3 fiscal challenges at the state level, and what are your plans to tackle them?
Yeah, I think we have to first and foremost address the elephant in the room. I'm surprised this has not come up yet. It is the federal funding situation. We have seen chaos and cruelty coming from the Trump administration. Just last year, we saw Donald Trump willing to choke off federal funding for our schools and let people starve at a moment's notice. This is incredibly important for the state of Delaware, which gets billions of dollars every year in federal funding. And no matter what happens in 2028, we will still have 2 years in the first term of this treasurer's administration that will be overlapping with Donald Trump. And so, as treasurer, I would protect our state's financial stability by maintaining healthy liquidity buffers and stress testing our investments to ensure that we are robust to any future federal disruptions in funding, which makes up nearly 23% of our state's spending. The second point, and this was mentioned by both Mike and Ted, is that we do have a diversification issue with our revenue streams. We are somewhat of a 3-legged stool in terms of the income that comes into the state of Delaware's budget. And I believe that we do need to make sure that we are not so heavily dependent on the corporate franchise for such a large portion of our state's revenues that can especially have really disastrous outcomes if you have a situation like an economic recession like we saw 20 years ago, where a lot of cuts had to be made. Apologize, I didn't get the third one.
Okay, well, thank you. So now you stay on stage for the next question. Mr. Smith, how do you intend to help seniors and upcoming retirees in the state?
Well, perfectly. That was going to be my third question, or my third response to the previous question. Yes, we need to make sure that we're helping the people in our state save for their financial future, because that goes hand in hand with the safety and the strength of our state's financial stability. So when specifically talking about our senior citizens, I believe it is important that people enter their golden years on solid financial footing. And that's why I'd like to go back to the Delaware Earns program. This is going to be my number one priority as treasurer, is expanding access to retirement for people who don't have a traditional employer-sponsored retirement plan like a 401k, right? I know these workers very well. I've moonlit as an Uber driver while working on campaign jobs in the past, and I've spent years in Delaware's nonprofit community. These are not people on the margins of our economy. They're the people who make it run. Unfortunately, they frequently miss out on the tax advantages of savings vehicles like a 401k and often have to play catch up with their retirement or their savings as they approach retirement. As treasurer, I will build on the foundation Treasurer Colleen Davis has laid with Delaware Earns, which just a few weeks ago reached its 10,000 sign up, which is fantastic, but there's still about 150 to 200,000 Delaware workers who could take advantage of Delaware Earns. For people who are currently retired, who are dealing with increases to the cost of living, I think we need to expand our social safety net to make sure that people are not being left behind, and they're providing more exemptions and more credits to our senior citizens who are dealing with rising costs. I will say that's mostly in the purview of the General Assembly, so as the treasurer, I would not like to hear.
Thank you. And same question to you, Mr. Lauzen. That is, how do you intend to help seniors and upcoming retirees in the state?
Well, as an investment manager on the day-to-day basis, I get the privilege of working closely with so many retirees, current retirees, close retirees, and folks who are planning for their retirement across our state. It really comes down to 2 things. First, in the treasurer's office, in the discretion and the control of the treasurer's office, it's working with the cash management policy board to ensure that we are thoughtfully investing those $8 billion, 8,001 millions for the benefit of our retirees. That portfolio generates return that then helps pay for our programs and our support mechanisms across the state. The second, and so while that is a lofty kind of investment-oriented one, the second one is our Stand By Me program, which is the one-to-one financial literacy and financial support. This is about meeting folks where they are, grappling with the credit card bills, grappling with the increasing credit, expense challenges, and helping folks find a path forward that fits their family. It's the idea of being able to be in a safe and trusted space to be able to grapple with all of those challenges and to be able to chart a path forward for a stable retirement and a stable path to retirement.
Thank you very much. The same question to you, Mr. Miller.
I think all those programs are great. But listen, this question is twofold. We can't just talk, we're thinking about the investment side, the money side. Is rising costs with our seniors and our elderly with healthcare costs also. So it's not just how much they're saving. Yes, Delaware Earns. I'm very strong proponent for Delaware Earns. I want to open up Delaware Earns so that anyone can invest in it, not just small businesses opening it up to their employees. But if you're a single sole proprietor, you're able to get in to invest with as little as $25. There's no minimum. So I want to expand on that and open it up. When it comes to healthcare, our seniors are struggling to pay their bills. Stand By Me is a great program if you're trying to learn some financial literacy and what you need to do. But it's not going to pay your bills at the end of the day. The program gives you no money. But we have to work with our seniors. We have to try to cut and make sure that healthcare is cut to a even amount where if it's insulin, if it's doctor's bills, if it's going to the hospital, we need to sit down and be able to negotiate with hospitals and find out what these actual pricing tools are before the seniors actually go to the hospitals. We need to be able to say, okay, no, this is what it's going to be. We have to protect our seniors.
So thank you all so much for those responses. Our next question is this, and I will start with you, Mr. Lauzen. What powers does the state treasurer have that can make a difference for me, the average citizen?
The beautiful part about the treasurer's role is that it is statewide and it is personal at the same time. So at the investment level, a thoughtful investment strategy creates the opportunity to fund our programs, our nonprofits, and our opportunities across the state. At the programmatic level, it helps me, it helps you, it helps each of our families save for college through the Delaware 529, learn and build upon their financial stability through the Stand By Me program, save for their families through the ABLE plan. But one of the things that I think ties these two questions together, and I think needed to be mentioned in that last series of answers, is that the treasurer sits on influential boards across the state. One of those is the State Employee Benefits Commission. And that committee deals and directly impacts the benefits, the hard-earned benefits that our state employees have earned over a lifetime. So the treasurer, as an independently elected statewide official, me as the endorsed Democratic Party investment manager in the mix, is excited to protect those benefits as your representative on the State Employee Benefit Committee.
Thank you so much.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, I can repeat the question. What powers does the state treasurer have that can make a difference for me, the average citizen?
Okay, it's not only does the state treasurer set on the safeguards of money, but we have an incredible opportunity to help people who are suffering. Homes are at $500,000 or more. People cannot afford those on the salaries that they're making. Hospital bills, we can do better. I want to open up financial literacy in our schools. Financial literacy is my staple piece. Delaware Earns is second. But financial literacy, if we can take financial literacy and teach it to our elementary kids all the way to the time they graduate and have a mandatory 1 credit on investing and learning and opening checking accounts, we will be better. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a year from now, but 10 years from now, it will help close the wealth gap on those. All our children are not going to college, and we can do better by implementing some of those things. So from the state treasurer's office, I will make sure that I work with legislators, that I create a mobile banking where tellers actually go to the schools, where kids get to actually put money into the accounts and invest and take money out. I will do that as the state treasurer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Mr. Smith, same question, please.
Yes. While I love broad questions like these, I sometimes ramble on, and we only have 90 seconds, so I'll try to be, we've talked about some of the great programs the treasurer has under their power. ABLE accounts for people with disabilities, Delaware Earns for people who don't have a traditional employer-sponsored retirement plan. But I would like to specifically talk about our 529 program and one of the pilot projects under that, the Aspire 529 program, which helps people, afford a higher education. When we talk about an average voter, an average person here in Delaware, I can relate very deeply. My parents suffered bouts of unemployment during the Great Recession. My college fund was effectively gone overnight. I was very fortunate to find a school that offered me a full merit scholarship for my degrees, but it was hundreds of miles away from home. And this is an issue I consistently hear from voters. Their children or grandchildren are either moving out of state to find an affordable degree, or they're taking tens and tens of thousands of dollars of crushing student loan debt. No wonder our younger generations are feeling so betrayed right now. The American dream that they've been promised is consistently being delayed or outright denied. Now, when we're talking about powers, the treasurer does not set the tuition at the University of Delaware or Delaware State, but it does run Delaware's 529 Higher Education Savings Plan, which covers not just college, but also vocational and technical programs. As treasurer, I'll increase the initial seed funding for new education savings accounts for children under the age of 5, and I'll also expand Aspire 529, a pilot project that helps students without parental support be more generous.
Going to go back to you, Mr. Lydon. This next question. How will you protect public funds from being hacked? How will or won't you use AI to manage and protect public funds?
Well, thank you very much. And as the only Ted in this race, you're always more than welcome to call me Ted. It's great to be here with you, Debbie. My last name is Lauzen. It is a real and concern, and I'll answer the two-part question in two parts. First, fraud. I was with a group of folks in a senior living community in Clayton today, working through some financial literacy concepts, and fraud is one of the biggest concerns out there. That voices, that messages, that emails, that texts can now be so tailored to earn your respect, earn your trust, and then get your account information. As I told that group, the treasurer can play a distinctly important role there by being a trusted source of getting out information about what those types of threats look like right now. And then on the artificial intelligence side, it's a very interesting moment in which we have the mandate to protect our workers and our friends and our families from an accelerating technology, while balancing with that, with taking advantage of the opportunities, especially in the niche of the treasurer's race and role, to be able to implement strong, country-leading types of best practices, and the ability to create AI procedures that allow us to increase the customer service of our treasurer's role, because the treasurer can be one spot that an individual enters into the government system, and we want to make it as easy and as comprehensive as possible.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lauzen. My apologies for the mispronunciation of your last name.
Oh, I've been called a lot worse.
Mr. Miller,
I've been
you're
called
up
a lot
next.
worse,
Thank
so
you so
thanks.
much.
Listen, the state treasurer is a pivotal person in Delaware politics. They are not just a treasurer, they're an influential leader when it comes to going to other cities and states and working with different people. I want to go back and say we can't talk about putting money into a 529 program if you can't afford a house payment, if you can't afford your health care, if you can't afford food. We need to get salaries up in order for some of those things to take place. So it's well to talk about that, but we have to change some of the policies. So as the state treasurer, I'm going to be working to be an influence for those people. I want to be that voice for the voiceless who need help. But now, going back to AI, it says whenever you look on ChatGPT or any of those programs, it says you cannot use this because it may not be true as to what they're saying. So I don't believe AI should play any part in our savings or in our programs. I do believe, however, we need to back up our systems. We need to make sure we have the best and the brightest to make sure that our systems are backed up, not once, but twice, but three times, so that if we're ever taken and under attack, we can go back and we have our systems up to date. That's what I want to see happen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. And lastly, Mr. Smith, it's up for you.
Yes, this is a fantastic question. I'm assuming it may have come about over the past few weeks where we've seen some of the really scary capabilities of some of these advanced large language models like Claude or ChatGPT. I believe, maybe a month or two ago, we saw Claude Mythos be released in a way that really scared the cybersecurity community because it revealed so many hackable places, so many loopholes or places that you can kind of weasel your way into as a computer program. And I'm very excited to see that there are large organizations that are using these tools to try to patch those cybersecurity risks. The state treasurer's office, if you'll believe it, actually has tens of billions of dollars of money transact through the office every single month. Of course, that is a lot of times pass-through entities, that's federal, that's duplication. But if there is a hacker who can get even just a small percentage of that, that is a real detriment to Delaware, its financial position, and to its taxpayers. So yes, we do need to use AI tools in order to patch any cybersecurity risks in our financial plumbing, if you will. I'm not necessarily sure we need it on the customer service side. I'm not sure we need it on the programmatic side. That's something to be discussed with the General Assembly. I'm a little bit skeptical of the use of some of these generative tools in the access of government. However, if there is going to be this huge capability increase in hacking from adversaries across the world, we need to make sure we're patching every part of our financial plumbing in the Treasurer's Office and across the state of Delaware.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we are now going to move to the Q&As from the webinar. Our goal is to listen to the people of Delaware. So though we have other questions, we're going to pivot and get the chat questions. The first question goes to you, Mr. Miller. The treasurer's seat on the Board of Pardons does not get much public attention. What perspective do you think your background brings to that responsibility? And how do you think about the second chance framing in practice?
That's a very good question. That was a part of also my wealth gap, closing the wealth gap. When it comes time, the treasurer sits on the Board of Pardons with 5 members, okay? And the lieutenant governor, along with the state auditor and a couple others. So it's 5 members. You have to go through a whole rigorous procedure to try to get a pardon. You have to go to the police report, get the police report. You have to go to the court where you were charged. Even if you're arrested, you have to get all those things. Then you have to file to even get the pardon, expungement, or clemency. We need to close those gaps so that if someone's arrested, the charges get dismissed. I'd like to see the charges be dropped right then. You shouldn't have to go through those procedures in order to get a pardon. But the pardons board is very important. And I'll tell you this for why. That when someone comes in and needs to get a pardon, I'm trying to help people get pardons all the way across the board. If they want to reacclimate themselves from jail and back into society, then we know that we need to get their records cleared so that they can be back into society, so they can get better jobs. And this is very, very important, as this is, to me, the number 3 board that I'd be sitting on. That's most important behind the Cash Management Policy Board and the Program Management Board, Board of Pardons, because that helps people get acclimated back into society and be able to get a job and be able to close the wealth gap. Because if you don't have a job, then who's taking care of everyone? It's not just black, it's white and black, it's whoever. Because blacks are just not the only ones in jail, whites are not the only ones in jail. Everyone's in jail, and we need to try to get everyone out and back into society to be able to get working.
Okay, thank you. Same question to you, Mr. Smith. Do you need me to read it again?
No, I really greatly appreciate this question. As the questioner implied, and I think it's very true, most people in the state of Delaware do not realize that our Constitution puts the state treasurer on the Board of Pardons, as well as Mike mentioned, the auditor and lieutenant governor, as well as our Secretary of State and a representative from the Court of Chancery. It's one of 5 votes on every pardon commutation recommendation in our state. I actually have had the pleasure, in preparation for the potential being treasurer next year, I've been listening to an audiobook called The Science of Second Chances by a social researcher and economist, Jennifer Doliak, who I believe is a professor down in Texas. And it's been really incredible so far. I will fully admit I have not finished it, so I will continue to listen to it while driving up and down the state. But what I've really taken away from it is that we need diligence to review these files. The same diligence that I bring to our state's books. Reading every case, hearing victims fully, hearing applicants fully, and judge everyone honestly. And I'll bring that economist's eye, because a pardon is often that last barrier between a Delawarean and a paycheck. A record can block jobs, housing, and licenses long after that societal debt is paid. Second chances aren't mercy, they're a potential new lease on life, and I take that responsibility very seriously as the next representative on the Board of Pardons representing the Treasurer's Office.
Same question to you, Mr. Lauzen.
Tremendous, thank you. As Democrats, we care deeply about the humanity in each other. We care deeply about the potential in others. And so as the independently elected member on the Board of Pardons, it's an awe-inspiring responsibility to be able to thoughtfully and empathetically evaluate the opportunity to give a second chance to someone. And that second chance makes our society better. It creates a more stable household. It creates a more stable community. It creates a stronger economy, and it creates a better Delaware. The other part of that responsibility is that we need to be preparing incarcerated individuals for a successful return to productive society. A piece of that's financial literacy. A piece of that is access and advocacy. And then it's the thoughtful alignment of programs and support mechanisms as folks transition back into those households, into those communities, and into those jobs across the state.
Thank you so much. And this question goes to you, Mr. Smith. If elected, what would success look like at the end of your first term? And how would Delawareans be able to measure it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, it's a little broad, and I love broad questions, but I'm going to keep it within 90 seconds, so I'll answer it just with 2 relevant points that kind of echo back to my answer at the beginning of this call, which is, yes, we do need a treasurer who's willing to do the status quo, day-by-day work of maintaining our system. We also need to have innovative ideas and progress on some of these very important issues. So first and foremost, let's go to that first part. Our credit rating, right? It is a contrast worth remembering that last year, Moody's stripped the federal government of its last AAA credit rating, that Trump literally got Washington downgraded. Delaware, meanwhile, has held on to its AAA credit rating from all three agencies for more than 2 decades. And I specifically would like to shout out Treasurer Colleen Davis, who's done a fantastic job representing the state of Delaware to the credit rating agencies. And that rating is not just a trophy, it's a discount on our interest payments, on our loans. And it's incredibly important that the next treasurer maintain that AAA credit rating across all three credit rating agencies. But also, it has been 18, now going on 19 years, the state of Delaware has been kicking the can down the road and has promised our state employees, our teachers, our education support professionals that we would bring back the match on their retirement savings contributions. SB 20, which would have done that this year, and also indexed the match to increase with inflation as we need to get that bill passed in the next part.
Thank you. Same question to you, Mr. Lauzen.
Thank you very much. There are a range and a wonderful set of things that can be done within the control of the treasurer's office. I think first and foremost is the protection and the maintenance of the AAA credit rating. Second, it's the demonstrated stability within our investments of choosing partners through our asset management RFPs that align with our democratic values. It's about protecting our reserves in a way that we can cover gaps that are created by the chaos and the criminality of the White House. And it's modernizing our debt policy, something that we can implement that categorically saves money and extends services and infrastructure capacity to our state. There's also the opportunity to improve our programs. We need to be able to advocate for more families to be involved, finding proactive ways to have families involved in our ABLE plans, in our Delaware Earns, in our Delaware 529s. Each are very practical and possible ways, and I would encourage you to take a look at my website, tedlauzen.com, for some of those implementable policies. Thank you very much.
Now to you, Mr. Miller.
Read that question one more time, please.
The question disappeared. Hold on. There it is. If elected, what would success look like at the end of your first term, and how would Delawareans be able to measure it?
Well, success at the end of my first term will look very clear. A couple things. There's going to be more people who are on the Delaware Earns program, because right now, with just 10,000 people who are on it, there's nearly 150,000 people who can be on it. And so I'll be going around doing assemblies, doing announcements, putting ads in the paper from the state treasurer's office to get people in that program. There'll be more financial literacy. Delaware just implemented a half a credit to our schools that's going to be taught this year, but I'm shooting for a whole credit for children to learn about investing, saving money. Listen, I talked to someone who said that, when I was in school, that we had to learn from the Washington Post. We had to take a stock and we had to follow that stock all the way through for the whole year to learn what that stock did and what that stock didn't do. Again, it will change the wealth gap, because if you know how to invest, if you know how to open up a checking account, if you know how to open up a 401k, when our children are working during the summer, they can start early. We don't have to wait for them to get older. They can start now. When they learn about this, they're going to want to do it. And so that's what I'm going to be remembered for.
Thank you.
We will now proceed with some questions developed by Melody Taylor from Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and Susan Mitchell of the League of Women Voters. Citizens often have limited visibility into how state funds are invested and managed. What steps would you take to improve public access to financial information and strengthen trust in the treasurer's office? Mr. Lauzen, we'll start with you first.
Thank you very much. The key here is that each and every one of those dollars in the portfolio are your dollars and your neighbor's dollars. We should know exactly how, where, and at what quantity those dollars are invested across the board. As an investment manager on the day-to-day basis, I get the opportunity to serve hundreds of families with a very transparent, easily understandable, and visual display of where their investments are and how those funds are being invested and how hard they're working for them. The same should be held true for our portfolio at the State Treasurer's Office. It's possible, it's 2026, to be able to put visual indicators of where we're invested, how those investments are doing. And as Warren Buffett says, one of the keys to long-term investment success, how much we're paying for those investments. And so it is essential as a fiduciary on a day-to-day basis, as a fiduciary in the treasurer's role, that we demonstrate the seriousness of each dollar sacrificed by our Delaware families by showing exactly how, where, and how costly our funds are invested across the board.
Thank you so much. Mr. Smith, same question to you, sir.
Yes, I think it is incredibly important, as Ted mentioned, that every dollar that a Delawarean family is, giving to the state to invest properly and to use for our social programs is well managed and well tracked. I'm a little skeptical on the idea of having an online platform for this. That sounds great. I'm very happy to have more resources and calculators and platforms and visualizations online. This was a lot of my work when I worked at Cornerstone Research, was making visualizations and charts and using data tables to try to get a point across. These are things that I know a lot of people, like the people on this call, are very interested in, very civically minded, engaged voters and candidates. I do not believe that the record of how many people actually go to check out those financial platforms, those visualization tools, really lends itself to be a great way to communicate the information about the transparency of our state dollars and our state investments. I think it's going to need going out into the communities, right? Having discussions, presenting frequently and constantly. I, just during the past, 6-7 months of this campaign, have been driven up and down the state probably 50 times, 200 miles, round trip all the way down to Sussex, and have spoken to about 100 groups. And as treasurer, I'll continue to bring that energy going and talking to communities about how our dollars are being invested and having open door policy where if someone wants to sit down and discuss our investment portfolio, discuss our state's financial future, I'm happy to do that with them.
Thank you for that, Mr. Smith. Mr. Miller?
Yes,
Same
listen,
question.
long story short, it's transparency. Everyone needs to see where every dollar is going, where every dollar is being spent. We keep good financial records on a daily basis. I'm not saying you look at it every day, but every quarter it can be made available to everyday citizens who want to see where our money is going, what our revenue streams are, where our money has gone out to. Those are good policy for everyday citizens to be able to see because they want to know that the state treasurer is managing their money correctly and safeguarding their money. Contrary to what my two counterparts say, it is safeguarding the money. That's the job, not to run roughshod over the state treasurer's office, but to collaborate with all 34 of the employees who are in there and work with each and every one of them, or work with the state legislatures. Listen, the Delaware Code, Title 29, outlines, if anyone wants to look that up, what exactly the job of the state treasurer is, the boards, and everything that they set on. Look up Title 29, and you'll find your answers to what the state treasurer does and cannot do.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. So this is our last question for the night. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Smith. Voter turnout among our youngest voters is historically low, especially in midterm elections. What is your message to voters ages 18 to 29 who feel the government has left them behind?
Wow, what a fantastic question to end the night, before our closing remarks, of course. As you know, one of those younger voters, as someone who, has a lot of deep connections to the young folks in our state who are frustrated and who are angry, I will say directly to those voters, I hear you and I understand you. I'm a renter myself. I've had to pay off student loan debt. It is really difficult to have been promised a basket of goods, right? This American dream, and have had that chipped away one moment after the next. And I have tried as much as I can during this campaign, and I will continue through my time as treasurer to hear young voices. We have 12 staff members, 11 of whom are between the ages of 20 and 30, across the state, knocking doors, talking to their neighbors, to people in their communities. We've also had the pleasure of being endorsed by the Delaware College Democrats because they know that I have the ability to have this vision, this future imagination of what the treasurer role can do for young people and for Delawareans of all ages. And I think when it comes to voter turnout, it is difficult to get people to justify going out and spending an hour or two of their days going to the polls if they cannot imagine a brighter future from the candidate that they're voting for. So there's a lot of young people who just say, why will I, right? And frankly, I don't think we can blame them. I think we have to present a case, an imagination of what the treasurer and what this government of the state of Delaware can do for voters to get them to come out to the polls. And I think there's a really great chance, as we've seen in states across the country, that this can be the cycle that we get young voters to care about the future of their.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Same question, please.
Yes, it is a problem. It's not, it's not just with young voters. When I'm out in the parks and I'm speaking to them, like last night I was at National Night Out and I was talking to some of the voters and they were like, I don't vote. I've never voted. And some of them are 25, 26. And I'm saying, why? I just don't believe in what the government's doing or what the state's doing. And even some don't know that they can actually vote for the state treasurer. It's like, oh, they need to really be educated. They're saying, oh, I live in Millsboro. How can I vote for you if I live in Millsboro? I explained to them, it's the state treasurer's position for everyone to vote. You get to vote. Everyone in the whole state gets to vote. But it's not just with the young voters, it's with all the voters. I mean, they suspect that maybe 20 to 25% are going to vote in this statewide primary on the 15th. That's roughly 60 to 65,000 votes. Is that good? That's what it's been. So I would like to see the voter turnout be higher, but if we have to go on statistics and we talk about even with investments, we want to make sure that with investments, we go off statistics of what's happened in the past. This is the same way with voting. I'm going to go with 20 to 25% because that's what I believe is going to happen.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay. I know we said this was the last question.
I'm sorry. Do you
Mr.
mind?
Lauzen,
Daphnée,
Mr. Lauzen needs to go.
Do you mind if I
Mr.
answer that one too?
Yeah.
Because just to echo, I think, this comes down so much to the hope and the trust, the hope that we have in a brighter future and the trust that we have in the individuals who we work to elect to deliver on their promises. And I think it breaks down into two sides. First, we need to believe that our access to voting is safe and possible. I flew 127 combat missions in Afghanistan as a light attack helicopter pilot, not so that somebody could enrich himself in the White House, but so that each and every one of our neighbors could enjoy the fruits of their labors and the beauty of democracy. And then second, as a father of four, it comes down to the ability to believe that their voice matters for positive change in the future. And that comes to the being able to deliver on the promises that we make. Because even on the Zoom call, it's easy to, make statements about what we're going to do and all the exciting stuff there, but it's the ability to build trust over time by delivering on what we promise, by having the proven experience and the value set to do it.
Thank you so much for that.
And this is going to be truly the final question of the night. There are plenty of questions. We just don't have enough time. So you are on the stage, Mr. Lauzen, and here is the question from the audience.
Great.
Every candidate says they'll be a good steward of taxpayer dollars. Tell us about one decision you've made in your professional life that best demonstrates the judgment Delawarean can expect from you as state treasurer.
Absolutely. So I started Gray Fox Wealth Advisors on March 1st of 2020. So 9 days before the global pandemic, with more kids than clients with a partner of mine. As we enthusiastically launched that company, we had the choice to either be a fiduciary advisor and hold ourselves to a higher standard in all scenarios to do the best we can for our clients in every scenario, or the chance not to be a fiduciary and to be able to take hidden fees under the table that enriched ourselves or our business. We chose and we implement on a daily basis that voluntarily higher commitment to to the fiduciary standard. So not only do I prove it, not only do I promise it, but I practice it on a day-to-day basis to ensure that we always do the right thing for other people, not the comfortable thing, especially when no one's looking.
Same question goes to you, Mr. Miller.
Well, that's I was going to say something, but I'm gonna hold my peace. So, one of the things when I'm working with my clients, I have told this story before, and I have over 350 tax clients. And so each one of them is unique and different, trying to help people, Delawareans throughout this state and in other states. But one of the things, I'll tell the story, there's the earned income credit and the child tax credit that Delawareans and some people receive. I have a client makes $35,000. And then they get the earned income credit and the child tax credit, and they get back $8,000 refund, and they're happy. They're getting $43,000 back if you look at what they made and how much they're getting. The next year they get a tax increase or a promotion, and they're making $55,000, but they're only getting back $2,000 in a refund. Now they're mad at me because the refund's not $8,000 anymore. The refund's only $2,000. There's nothing I can do about that. But what I do is I explain it to them. I don't care if it takes an hour, 2 hours, and explain it to them, put it in writing and say, listen, you're in a better position. 57,000 in a year's time is better than 43,000 in a year's time. And that's what I do every day.
Same question to you, Mr. Smith.
Yes. I'd love to answer this question in a little bit of a wonky way because I know a lot of people, when they hear the idea of a professional economist, they don't really understand necessarily what goes on in the day-to-day life and role of that job. So I'll describe a moment last year when I was working with Cornerstone Research. I was on a large long-term project, working on a report that was hundreds of pages long, painstaking attention to detail, academic literature review, doing footnotes, making visualizations, making different data sources and analysis, and putting that into a really painstaking labor of love. Sometimes it gets a little dry, sometimes it gets a little boring, but these are really important questions dealing with some of the nation's largest financial institutions' data and how it impacts downstream people like our pensioners and how their assets are invested. And during that, end stage, if you will, of this report, we brought on some outside help because you need to do a lot of stuff during those last few weeks before you send it out. And I noticed maybe 3 days before we had our final deadline that there was a mistake that was made along the way, and that was introduced by some of these new people to the team. And I stayed up until 2 a.m. making sure that we fixed that. And that is what I'll do as treasurer, is that if there is some issue where we have to safeguard our state funds, you know that I will burn the midnight oil, making sure that every dollar that taxpayers invest in our state is well managed and that every.
Okay. Well, at this point, as promised, thank you so much for this conversation. We are going to move to closing remarks, but as we discussed earlier, we're going to do the random name pick again, okay? And then we'll see who's going to give their closing remarks first. It is Mr. Miller. We're going to move. I know, isn't that, you see this? And we're going to do the drawing for the second one. Mr. Smith. What is the likelihood? And final is Mr. Lauzen. So at this time, you each have 2 minutes to do your closing remarks.
Excuse me, before we all start, just one point of clarity. Sorry, this is Dr. Melody Phillips. Due to some time challenges, Mr. Michael Smith will actually have 3 minutes because his time was shortened. So Mr. Lauzen and Mr. Miller will both have 2 minutes. Mr. Smith will have 3 minutes to give him time back that he lost during the Q&A. Thank you.
Okay. We will start with you, Mr. Miller.
Well, thank you for this incredible opportunity to speak to you guys tonight, Deltas and the League of Women Voters up and down the state. I hope I've made each and every one of you proud with the questions that I've answered, trying to be as precise as I can. I just want to say I'm the only candidate. I have 33 years of real financial experience. Didn't just start in 2020, and I've been doing this. I am a real Democrat, and I didn't just join the Democrat Party. And it's kind of disheartening to hear some of the things that get said, when we're out on the campaign trail. But I just want to say that I need each and every one of your votes to make financial literacy a real thing, and not push it off onto Stand By Me. I need your help with opening up Delaware Earns. Listen, my vision is simple. I want to teach every Delaware student how money works. I want to give every Delaware worker the opportunity to save for retirement. And I want to protect each taxpayer's dollar with honesty, transparency, and accountability. All right, 46 seconds. And so, again, I'm the only one with this experience. I made sure budgets are meant for each and every one of my clients. Over 350 clients, portfolios, taxes, done the right way, the right time, every time. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing. This is not a slogan. This is real world. This is the experience that I can bring to the state treasurer's office. I will be there in the communities. I will be out to say hello. I will be at all the events. You don't never have to worry about someone saying, where's the state treasurer? Why isn't the state treasurer around? Because I enjoy people. I like people. You're my priority, and I will be out there. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
First and foremost, let me thank our great hosts, the League of Women Voters of Newcastle County and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for a fantastic night. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to answer the questions presented by the moderators and the questions presented by the audience. It has been an honor to talk about my platform and my experience and why I want to be the next state treasurer. And if I would love to talk about a brief story. I mentioned this story a few weeks ago, and I think it's very relevant for this moment. When I was 14 years old, I watched my parents sit at our kitchen table with a stack of bills, trying to figure out which ones could wait. The recession hit our family the way it hit so many families. Through no fault of our own, we did everything right, and it still wasn't enough. That's why I became an economist. Because behind every number is a family like mine, doing the math at their own kitchen table. Here's what I'll fight for as your treasurer. Lower costs for your family. Retirement with dignity for every worker, whether you teach in our schools, drive for Uber, or run a shop on Main Street. College savings that start at birth, so every child's future starts with an asset, not a burden. And a Delaware strong enough to stand up to Donald Trump and ready for whatever comes next. I'm the only professional economist in this race. But more importantly, I'm the kid from that kitchen table. So remember, I'm the Democrat, Michael Smith, lifelong Democrat. To echo what Mike Miller said, I did not become a Democrat a few years ago just to run for office. I've been a proud, active Democrat my entire adult life. I'm the only professional economist in this race, and on September 15th, I'm asking for your vote so every Delaware family can afford to thrive. Thank you.
Mr. Lauzen.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you again for the opportunity to share positive, productive conversations across the state. It is important to our democracy and to our future that we have engaged neighbors, that we have meaningful conversations, and that we work together as Delawareans to create a brighter future. Because right now things are tough for folks. I mean, just three years ago when I used to sit at tables with Delawareans across the state, we would be talking about families working 1 to 2 jobs to make ends meet and save a little bit for retirement. Now with those same families across the same state, we're talking about folks having to work 3 to 4 jobs just to survive to next week or to next month. I hope to use a demonstrated lifetime of leadership under pressure and of investment management expertise to help build that brighter future for all Delawareans. As the Democratic Party endorsed candidate, as a husband, a father of 4, the treasurer of the Delaware YMCA, the member of the Delaware Prosperity Partnership, a combat veteran, and an investment manager. I do not sing very well. I do not dance very well, but I invest money well. I lead financial literacy programs well, and I serve on state boards well. And when we do what we're best at, that's how we can best help other people. We've got a lot of great work to do. I look forward to earning the opportunity to work closely shoulder to shoulder with you on those challenges and those opportunities across the state. If you're interested in more of our platform and our trajectory and our campaign, please visit tedlauzen.com. Give me a call at 302-228-8916 or join us for one of our 3 upcoming fundraisers this month. 1 in Newcastle County, 1 in Kent, and 1 in Sussex. Thank you very much.
Great. Dr. Melody Phillips and Susan, your final remarks.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Daphnée, Theodore, as well as Debbie Smith again. That was extremely well put together. Very well done, moderators. I would also like to thank the candidates, Mr. Lauzen, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Miller for being here this evening, for engaging with our audience. At one point, we had more than 105 people on here. So that was absolutely fantastic. This is phenomenal information. And one of our moderators, Debbie Smith, this was great for her. She is an accountant by trade. And so it was absolutely wonderful for her to hear about this. So I just want to thank you all again. A special acknowledgement and thank you to the League of Women Voters Delaware for partnering with us on this. There have been a lot of behind the scenes prepping for this. And so I just wanted to thank them and thank the audience for being engaged. Thank you for using the chat feature, for putting information in the Q&A, and for also submitting your questions ahead of the webinar so we were well prepared. With that said, I just want to, again, if there are any Delta Sigma Theta chapter presidents from our chapters across the state, I would like to, just thank them for joining us this evening, as well as any other members, whether you are a member of Delta Sigma Theta in Delaware or from another region. Thank you for joining us this evening. As we conclude tonight's forum, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation again to each of the candidates for sharing their time and perspectives, to everyone who submitted thoughtful questions, and to all who joined us this evening. While you are still on, there is a poll up. We encourage you, audience members, to please answer the poll. It's only about 7 questions. It won't take you long at all. So please, we encourage you to answer the poll while it is up. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated believes that informed and engaged citizens strengthen our communities. We have been doing social action since 1913. And we are just super proud to be able to continue to put the advocacy in social action. We hope tonight's discussion has provided valuable information as you prepare to cast your ballot. On behalf of the Delaware Statewide Social Action Committee of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, thank you for spending your evening with us. It has been our privilege to partner with the League of Women Voters Delaware in this important civic engagement effort. Tiffany, I'll now turn the program back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Delaware, thank you once again to our candidates, our moderators, and our viewers. As you prepare to vote, we encourage you to continue learning about the candidates and the issues that matter most to you. One excellent resource is vote411.org, the League of Women Voters online voter guide. Simply visit vote411.org, enter your home address to access personalized information about the candidates and the races that will appear on your ballot. Candidate responses for the September 15th primary election will be available on Vote 411, with information for the general election added later in the fall. I'm going to take this opportunity to ask our candidates on here and any candidates listening in to please complete their Vote 411 questionnaires if they have not done so already. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Please remember to make your plan to vote and have a wonderful evening.
Technology, if you could show the candidates' information for those who are still in attendance, that is all of the candidates who were here tonight. Their contact information is listed if you would like to take a screenshot of that. I know some of the candidates also put their information in the chat, but please feel free to grab a screenshot of that. And if you would like to reach out to us directly to get that information for all 3 candidates, we can share that. Again, this is being recorded and League of Women Voters will be sharing this out soon. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate having you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thanks so
everyone.
much.